G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Starting off the hero guide series again today, starting off with Murdock. If you enjoy this video, smash the like button, leave me a comment if you have one or a question, and subscribe for more Paragon content. With that said, let's get straight into it. Okay, Murdock is a ranged marauder, attacker, burst, zoner. Ranged obviously because he has a ranged basic attack. A marauder is someone who is pretty much a carry. They do high damage endgame through buying items. An attacker is someone that does high amounts of basic attack damage. Burst is obviously someone who can do a lot of damage in a short frame of time. And zoner is someone that can pretty much just allow themselves room or deny people room in the game. He is a zoner based off of one of his abilities, which is called Buckshot. We'll get onto that in a second. He starts off with 633 health and grabs 69 per level. Health regen of 1.06, adding 0.11 per level. 224 mana, 12 per level. Mana regen starts at 1.15 and he gets 0.04 per level. He has 30 ability armor, 12.2 basic armor with 2.6 being added per level. His basic attack damage is actually the second highest in the game, next to Revenant, although Revenant is a lot slower firing and has a reload animation, so Murdock is pretty much the hardest hitter in the game. So as we stated, his basic attack is one of the strongest in the game. It's actually called Plasma Bolt, ranged basic attack dealing basic attack damage. And as we said a moment ago, it starts with 58.3 damage, grabbing 4.8 per level, ending up at around about 149 damage per hit, with no effects from cards or extra power, just getting to level 20 with no cards on whatsoever. The first ability we're going to talk about when it comes to Murdock is Buckshot. Murdock fires a blast in a cone that deals ability damage and pushes enemies away up to, don't pay attention to that 700 units, it's actually 800 units. It has been buffed a little bit. So the ability damage at level 1 is 88, at level 2 it's 140, level 3 193, and at level 4 it does 246 damage. Has a power scaling of 1.88 blah blah blah, which means that for every 100 power you have on your build, you will get 188 damage put onto this ability. The mana cost is 100 across the board. The cooldown is 8 seconds across the board. It can hit and do damage up to 1,000 units away, but enemies and minions will only be pushed back if they are within 800 units, and the ability will push them back to that 800 unit mark. So if someone is right up in his face and he lets this off, they will take damage and they will be pushed 800 units away. If they are 750 units away from him, they will take damage and be pushed back to 800 units. So don't use it unless someone is right up on you. Using it when they're 750 away, especially on someone that has a gap closing ability, means you're only going to push them away a foot and then they're just going to dash in on you anyway. Obviously this ability is best used just to give yourself a bit of room from melee heroes that are encroaching on your space. It can also be used to push unwanted minions off of towers, but basically it's just a zoning tool to allow yourself some room to keep that high damage output up. Next up we have shots fired. Every few seconds Murdock's next basic attack has 1700 unit range and basic penetration. What this means is that Murdock's standard basic attack is actually 1300 units, but every time this ability is off cooldown, it adds 400 range and it adds basic penetration. At level 1 it adds 10 penetration, level 2 20, level 3 30, level 4 40. And as far as the cooldowns go, at level 1 it takes 5 seconds to cooldown, at level 4 it ends up at 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds you'll be hitting harder and at a longer range. It's a very good ability to have early on just to get a quick little bit of poke off on people, and it does start to stack up. The damage and the penetration on this does actually start to stack up, so it's a very good ability. Apart from that, you know, it's just a tool in his kit to allow him to increase his damage output over time. Murdock's next ability is called Hot Pursuit, and it's actually one of my favorites. It's a passive where you gain movement speed when moving towards a visibly critically wounded enemy hero. What that means is that if someone is in the last portion of their health bar, when you're playing the game and you get towards the last portion of your health bar, you'll notice the screen sort of tint a little bit, and you'll start to sort of hear a heartbeat sound. That is when you're critically wounded. You're very near to death. If someone is critically wounded and someone on your team or you are looking at that person and you are headed directly for them, you will gain the movement speed buff from this ability. So the radius at level 1 starts at 4,000 units. At level 4 it ends up at 10,000 units. The movement speed bonus starts at 14%, goes to 22, 30 and 38% at max level. Now Murdock's movement speed is around about 650, which is about 100 off the highest in the game. But at level 4, if he was chasing the fastest person in the game, he would actually have he'd have about 20% extra movement speed than that fastest person in the game just by this passive alone. He would end up at about 898, I think, movement speed, compared to about 740 for the fastest in the game. So it's a very good ability. It's what, apart from his high damage output, sets Murdock aside from everyone else. He revolves around chasing people down, getting those kills, and this is the thing that allows him to do that. He'll just overtake everyone on his way to grab that kill. Finally, we have Murdock's ultimate. It's called Long Arm of the Law. Unlimited range laser blast that can be shot through anything, ignores hero ability armor and deals ability damage. When it says anything, it means anything. You can shoot from your spawn through every single wall in the game to the enemy spawn. The ability damage at level 1 is 178.63, so it's not that huge, but at max level, which is level 3, it will hit for 354. However, it has a power scaling of 3.13393, which means that for every 100 power on your build, it will hit for another 313 damage on top of the 354. So you'll be hitting for up around 650, 700 based on what you have on your build. The cooldown at level 1 starts at 90 seconds, ends up at 70 seconds. I recommend using this as much as you can on low health enemies. Even if you're not sure that it's going to secure a kill, it could be instrumental in your team picking up a kill. Also, it's just really good to practice this and get good at it, because this is a clutch ultimate. It is one of the best ultimates in the game, just for the fact that it is a cross-map through environment ultimate ability that can execute anyone. The mana cost is quite cheap. At level 175, ends up costing 175, so keep note of that. I tend to, when I play Murdock, just try to keep at least enough mana for a Long Arm of the Law and potentially a Buckshot, just in case I do get pushed by someone. I have enough mana to get them off me, and I have enough mana for a Long Arm of the Law if it's needed. Now, when it comes to building for Murdock, what you really want to go for is things that have a lot of power, a lot of attack speed. Chaos is always a very good bet. There are meta builds going right now that are Death and Knowledge that revolve around OPD Militia, Vampiric Blade, and running Power Tap every time you have the 4,000 gold for it. But in general, running Chaos and Order or Chaos and Death is a good bet. That way, if you run the Death build, you can have Vampiric Blade. If you run the Order build, you can go for Sacred Alchemy for some shields. But having Chaos means that you can run things like Heavy Hitter or Death Crawler, anything like that, Shadow Golem. Those cards that increase your basic attack damage, your attack speed, they're always a good bet. You can't go wrong. And having a little bit of lifesteal from Death or some shields from Order is a good shout as well. If you are interested in a build like that, I will leave a link in the description to the last build guide that I actually put out for Murdock. It's one of my favorite builds that I use all the time. I will be doing the Death Knowledge meta build soon. on my channel, so keep an eye out for that. But that's it, guys. That's Murdock. That's his abilities and his scaling, and some suggestions on builds to use. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, please smash the like button. Leave me a comment if you have any questions whatsoever, or if you feel like I messed up or missed something. Please don't hesitate to leave a comment down there, and subscribe for more Paragon content. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.